In this video, I'd like to walk you through some of the exciting changes with the announcement that for the 2021 Doctrine and Covenants year, we will be following the Come Follow Me schedule for seminary. What does that mean for those that are teaching seminary? Here are the weeks of Come Follow Me. Here's the assigned scripture block for Come Follow Me for those weeks. And the question is, what will we be teaching and what will our pacing guide look like now that we will be following the content suggestions of Come Follow Me? Some things to consider. First, for example, in March 1st through the 7th, we will be studying Doctrine and Covenants sections 20 through 22. In the teacher manual, in the Doctrine and Covenants Seminary Teacher Manual, there are approximately 4.5 lessons that coincide with sections 20 through 22. You'll notice in lesson 30, it goes on to section 23 in that particular lesson, but 23 is not until the next week in the Come Follow Me schedule. Some weeks there will only be 1 or 2 seminary lessons in the teacher manual, in the seminary teacher manual for that entire week. So for example, in Doctrine and Covenants sections 10 through 12, or Doctrine and Covenants section 29, or section 45, those sections we'll be studying for an entire week. And if you look in the teacher manual, and again, the seminary teachers will use the seminary teacher manual as their main resource to teach seminary along with the Come Follow Me materials. There is only 2 lessons for this entire week. So the question is, what are we going to do with those extra days in seminary? If you're holding seminary 5 times a week or 4 times a week, what are you going to do with those days? Some other questions that will probably be on your mind with this change is, what do we do about Come Follow Me content in the months of July and August? Or whenever you're not in school, wherever you're at in the world. And it will probably mean that you might not be talking about those in seminary, because seminary is usually held during the times that we are in school. You'll need to visit with your local priesthood leaders and local seminaries and institutes personnel as to how that's going to be handled locally for you. Another question is, well, what about doctrinal mastery materials for the Doctrine and Covenants? Some other things that might be on your mind is, what about Zoom, or what if you use the Canvas lessons for Doctrine and Covenants? So first I want to talk about doctrinal mastery materials. So there are 31 lessons in the Doctrinal Mastery, Doctrine and Covenants Church History Teacher Material. There are 31 standalone lessons meant to be taught on a given day and not divided out as the Book of Mormon Doctrinal Mastery materials could have been used. So for example, our teaching schedule for the first part of the year will use the Acquiring Spiritual Knowledge parts 1 through 3, and you can see there's 17 lessons, Doctrinal Mastery lessons, that we'll want to include in our schedule. So back to that example I had from March 1st through the 7th, you could teach those 2 lessons or spread them out, and then on one of these days you could choose to give one of these lessons from the Doctrinal Mastery materials for the Doctrine and Covenants. Please listen to whatever your local SNI personnel suggest you use for those Doctrinal Mastery lessons, and how you can space those out throughout the semester to fill in some of those days where you might not have as many seminary teacher lessons from the teacher manual. Those of you that will be teaching via Zoom or in person, it won't be too difficult to create your schedule for this next year. Those of you that will be using the Doctrine and Covenants Canvas lessons, there are some things that you need to be aware of for 2021 that will make it a little bit more difficult to create your schedule. First, the lesson numbers in the teacher manual, there's 160 lessons in the teacher manual, do not match with the number of the lessons in the Canvas materials, meaning the Doctrine and Covenants Canvas content includes the Doctrine Mastery lessons that take up an entire day or lesson. So what does that look like? So here we have in this column, these are the lessons from the teacher manual, and in this column we have the Canvas lessons. And you'll notice down to 6 here, they match, but then in the Canvas materials it has Acquiring Spiritual Knowledge Part 1 and Part 2 that are not in the teacher manual. So they do not line up, they do not align. And the other thing that you'll notice, to keep this number to 160, while adding all of those Acquiring Spiritual Knowledge lessons, they've combined some lessons. So in this lesson 9, it has both the Role of the Learner and Joseph Smith History 1, 21 through 26 in this lesson. So they've combined those into one. I'd like to show you a resource that will be helpful in piecing together your pacing guide for this next year. All right, what we have here in this spreadsheet, in the link below, you'll have the Come Follow Me schedule, the Come Follow Me scripture block, the days of the week for that first semester, and then these will be your actual lessons, what you're going to teach on those days. In this column, we have the lessons from the seminary curriculum, the teacher manual, and then these are the Canvas lessons that coincide with these particular blocks. And so that's how they've been divided here. So what resources are available in Canvas for this content, and what lessons are available in the teacher manual for this section of Come Follow Me. And what you'll notice at the bottom of this, there is a variety of schedules that you will find. So if you'll be 5 days in person or via Zoom, here is a pacing guide to kind of help you with that. we talk about, so if you look here in Doctrine and Covenants 1, most of us will not be in seminary yet. And so what do we don't have anything scheduled for that day, but depending on when you start, you'll need to adjust these dates to meet your local needs. And so this is 5 days via Zoom or in person. Here's a 4 days a week schedule via Zoom or in person. Now, for those of you that are using the Canvas lessons, here's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday Canvas and a Tuesday, Thursday Zoom. Here's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday Zoom and a Tuesday, Thursday Canvas. 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday Canvas, Tuesday, Thursday Zoom, and 2 other 4-day options. And then if you're 4 days in Canvas and 1 day in Zoom, this is a potential option for you there. Now, you can take a look at whichever one's best fits your local needs, but I want to make you aware of some things with each of these. You'll notice for this one, every flex day you see, that is a day in seminary that there is no lesson from the teacher manual or the Canvas lesson that you can choose to include for that day. And so it's really a flex day up to the needs of your students and the direction of the Spirit and the direction of local priesthood leaders of what to include on those particular days to stretch out some of the previous lessons or how you'd like to handle those things. What do you do about those flex content for either Zoom or in person or Canvas classes? Well, first visit with your local S&I coordinator and visit and see what options are available. Some options could be to look at the week in review lessons that are available in the teacher manual. It's the home study lessons that kind of provide a week overview of what was studied in the home study manual or the Canvas lessons, and you could use that as some of the content for your flex days. You could look at some things that you'd like to share from Saints Volume 1 or for church history-related topics from Gospel Topics essays. All of those could be some useful things to discuss and visit with students on those particular flex days. So go ahead and download this spreadsheet, and you can then discuss between those that you teach with how you would like to fill up this particular column based on how you will hold seminary, whether in person or Zoom, or whether or not you will be using the Canvas lessons. And I hope that this tool is helpful in seeing what curriculum is available for both of those so that you can plan out your lessons according to your local needs.